Welcome back to OPTCG Central, your hub for all things One Piece card game related. Before we dive in, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell. It really helps us bring you more One Piece TCG matches and more.
I've won the mirror, I've lost the mirror. It's pretty much finding the right pieces at the right time, and if your searches can fire off early enough and you find what you need, it can be very good. But you do almost need to be making sure that you are playing characters on curve. Once you get to that 3-don, 4-don turn, you are being able to start playing some elders out and start getting some value off that. We are seeing Dan here with a nice early search, being able to get the pieces to hand. That will be really important.
Him having the higher seeding here, obviously allowing him to pick in this first match. Obviously, you're going to take second, but that can all change if he manages to beat Kristian, allowing him to choose in game 2.
Yeah. And as we see, this does, as you stated earlier on, does make things a bit different. So on a 3-don turn here, Kristian is able to play out a Saturn and go doing a top 5 search to try and find pieces to go into hand here.
This very much becomes one of those games of anything you can do, I can do better. So
Yeah.
we'll probably see a Saturn coming from Dan9 next turn as well.
Yep.
You know, these are the key parts. This is where some people absolutely despise mirror matches to play them. But I definitely do think mirror matches are so important to learn and master, because I think it improves you as a player overall for that deck. Because yes, you're going to see Saturns, yes, you're going to see this going from both sides and seeing the same cards. But it's knowing the important cards to take on these searches, knowing when to counter with what cards, and ultimately coming down to who gets enough elders in the trash.
Yep, absolutely. So we do see Kristian there doing a search, trashing that, and then drawing one off leader. Now. Oh, was that the draw? Was that the trash off leader? I'm a bit confused. Was that 6 cost meant to go in hand or go in trash?
I am not 100% sure there. But we see the
Yeah.
Saturn being played here and the draw.
Yep.
What will he take? Looks like to be another Saturn, which, you know, is going to allow you to get that card draw. And that's one of the most important things during this matchup. Constantly keeping that tempo up of getting bodies out, because you can get them out for $1 cheaper. And then also getting cards into hand. So, you know, finding the pieces, which we see with the Shariah searcher here.
Absolutely. Does take Nusturo to hand there. So that hand's looking fairly healthy. I think that Kristian there probably trashed that 6 cost on the last turn as from the leader effect from turn 1. Sorry. So my apologies there. I think I've got an error there. But yeah, look at this hand size now. Finding pieces. Nusturo being trashed there.
Still having one in hand is one of those cards that can very much help win you games. Deciding not to trash here and passing turn.
Yeah, interesting. So Kristian now playing a Shalia. Looking at the top 3. One will go to one will go to hand. 2 to trash, and then you'll have to trash 1 from hand as well.
Looks like the Nostro is coming in. Very similar choices by both players here. Almost identical in cards being seen and cards being taken.
Yeah, he needs to trash from hand as well. So just deciding what to trash. Yep, then leader effect, trash Shalia. And now can play another 4 cost elder here with 4-don available because there's no 5 cost ones. So
another Saturn would be ideal here to get that card draw.
Exactly.
The only risk you have to be careful of here is Shirahoshi.
Yeah.
There's no puddings. Don't have to worry about that hand being huge and losing loads of cards.
So swings 5 with the Saturn before committing to any plays. See another 1k counter. Plays the Walkery out and leaves 1 Don open and passes the turn over to Dan now. Dan on 3 life. Starts off with leader effect. Getting rid of that Shalia, drawing a card.
We see that 5 Elders coming into hand.
Indeed.
Very important there. You know, this is one of those weird ones where going first, you're going to be a turn behind on the 5 Elders. So staying as healthy as you can is very important, which is why we might be seeing that War Curry come down early. He didn't have the Saturn, get the War Curry down, absorb a swing, get a card draw.
Yeah,
still a very strong play.
For sure. You see the Saturn doing a search there to get a Walkery and another Saturn coming down now. Being on a 6 Don turn, you can play 2 of them out at 3 Don
Very
each.
strong play.
So very strong indeed, as you state. Just having a quick look through the trash, understanding what pieces are there, what he's got in hand, and now deciding to take a Jupiter, placing the other 4 at the bottom of the deck. Still can attack with that first Saturn that was on board as well, if he chooses to. But nope, decides to pass the turn, keeping a big steady board of 3 characters. Maybe drop that Jupiter next turn to make them all 7k and be able to get much better value from those swings is going to be the play for Dan here.
Very much so there, Taj. We spoke about this earlier. I think it was in the first match of 3 against the Ace, where the Emu player had established a strong board, and dropping that Jupiter to buff up the body to be able to just swing can be very aggressive.
Absolutely.
Into an Emu that, will still be going a turn behind on getting the 5 Elders out, applying that pressure, getting all those 7s. Very strong choice.
Definitely. Kristian here now, deciding what to do. 7 Don turn. You can, does look like he's got the 1 cost event searchers in hand potentially. So he can start off by just firing off a search, which he is going to do for 1 Don.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Not ideal seeing those events.
Yeah, you want to almost replicate what your opponent did and try and drop 2 4-cost bodies out for 6 Don, but you're going to have to take one of these events, I think. There's a Jupiter in hand. Do you want to let 2 of those 1-cost events go into the trash at this point of the game?
You really don't. They're such strong pieces, especially when you're going to be going behind already from the tempo of putting 5 Elders down a turn behind. That losing 1, if not 2, if Jupiter was taken, is a very, very dangerous, and I'd almost say a misplayed by Kristian if it was the choice.
Yeah. Yep, he is going to make the smart decision, take the 1-cost event into hand. And he does have 6 Don available, so he can drop the Jupiter. Starts off with a 5k swing with leader. Will this one be countered out? Yes, it is. Walkery being used there to counter out. And now we are going to see, I think, Jupiter being dropped down potentially. Yes, we do, for 6 Don. And now we can see a 7k swing coming in from the Saturn. Going to see enough to counter that out. We take the second 7k swing. Then we see a pass a turn after leader effect. So, Dan now starts off with a 5 into 5. Deciding not to play the Jupiter here. First. He's declared their attack now, I think.
He's regretting the action.
Yeah. Yep, he has declared it.
It was fully rested, and there was a direction in which the attack was gestured.
So
It would
yeah,
be very unfair on Kristian if it was allowed to be rolled back.
exactly. So he is going to counter by the looks of potentially thinking about countering it.
And this is where you just need to slow down, as I said before. Slow down, make the choices, because this might now completely change what he does. Now he's not going to get 3 sevens. Are we going to see Jupiter?
Exactly. So he does swing 5 with leader now into the Walkery. That one is chosen to be protected, and now we are going to see the Jupiter dropping down. 6 Dawn. And now we do have 2 7K swings coming in.
But do we just put them both into life, allowing the Walkery to stick on board? Because obviously, as we know, when that dies, it gets to draw one. And as you can see, the opponent's down to a very thin hand here, Taj.
Yeah.
Compared to Dan9, who looks to have a very substantially bigger hand.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are starting off with leader effect before making that decision. 7K. He's deciding where this should go.
I think you should probably put 1 at life to begin with, because then at least you're not giving the opponent the resource you need. And from there you can decide. But in honesty, probably double swing into life is the better play here.
Yeah. Well, he decides to go into the Walkery first, then go into life, which is taken. So does a good job at clearing up most of that board.
That is the positivity to it.
Yeah, just the Peter left on board, and obviously the leader swing as well. That's going to be coming this turn. And you've got a pretty healthy looking board yourself with 4 characters on board. 2 of those can be dealt with, leaving you with at least 3 swings next turn for Dan. Kristian now, again, with a Saturn search. Deciding which card to take, having a look at his hand now. Decide what the optimum card to take will be here.
In this scenario, so I was just about to say, is Nisturo the best play here? He's counting to see if he's got 10 cards in trash, because if you don't get 10 cards in trash, you don't get the -2,000 power.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing with Nisturo, isn't it? So he does take the Nisturo,
which potentially gives him now that extra swing if it's played out, which can help deal with some of those bodies on board. Because as we know, Dan9 is going to be going into 10 Don next turn, so he'll happily turn all these bodies sideways before going into 5 Elders.
Yeah, absolutely. So he swings 7 into 5, giving another one of them -2 smart move, forcing out the counter, but also allowing him to target that second Saturn with his leader for 5K swing into 3. Just deciding where this Jupiter's attack is going to go now. No, that's it. Start with the leader. That's a smart way to do it.
Do we see another event?
Yeah. Nope, he knows to let that one go. Now we're seeing 7 into 5. Another event needed, or 2 cards from hand. That goes as well. Does he want to play that Shalria? Is he pitching it off leader here? Yep, pitches it off the leader and passes the turn.
As we can see, leaving that 1 Don up for his own counter event here. Because as we know, we're going to see a minimum of 2 swings coming in from those two dragons before the potential and presumable entry of the 5 elders.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what are we going to see? Jupiter swinging in 7k into the Nisturo. Do you have the counter?
Becomes the key point in this matchup, really, because it's almost like a tug of war back and forth between controlling each other's boards.
Absolutely.
And do you have the counter in hand to keep those bodies alive to try and keep something on board, which is why you may see occasionally when bodies that could swing don't swing in this matchup, just to ensure they have a body for next turn, because that tempo shift is so big in this game, specifically this match.
Right, swinging with a Saturn now. Is that into life or is that into the Jupiter? You'd assume it'd be into the Jupiter at this stage. Does have Don open if he wants to use an event to counter here. But we also have the leader still yet to attack as well. So does fire it off. Leader effect. Crash, then draw. Trying to have a look through the trash now. Do you have all the pieces needed here to drop your 5 elders? So does play the 5 elders, playing out all 5 of them now. Dots off with a search. God, he's going to take to hand here. Let's take the Jupiter. 2k counter, but will be really useful as well if he needs to bump up any of his characters on his next turn. If for some reason that Jupiter will be sticking around, but
Each body gets so much value, Taj. It's so in that there's not every single one. Their abilities are so strong. Okay, Mars doesn't get its KOing in this matchup, but the fact it's a blocker, you just look across the elders. I can't think of another deck that has this much efficiency just across its bodies.
Exactly. That Saturn attack was countered just with a simple Nusturo there, countering out of that. And now Kristian playing out his own 5 elders, trashing the empty throne as part of that. And here we come.
Kristian obviously having the advantage of having that 1 extra life, countering out very early to a lot of swings could be the deciding factor here.
Yeah, absolutely. As you say, that could be crucial at this particular point of the game now. What does he want to take to hand? There is another 5 elders there. Being patient with his decision, just making sure he's taking the right piece. Yep, and it will be the 5 elders.
Very strong choice. Very, this is what it comes down to. How many 5 elders do you have? It's similar to the days of the, Sakazuki loop of how many Morias do you have? Who gets Moria out first? It's similar to the BY matchup. How many Morias can I go to keep the loop going? Very similar here. How many times can you get 5 elders on board? Makes the difference.
Making sure that you can find it turn after turn. we are now seeing that Dan9 does not have another one in hand. So starts off with a 7k swing into 3 by the looks of it. We do see a block and a draw. 5 into 3.
It does make me wonder if we'll see Jupiter swing this turn then, because if he does not 5 Elder, it gives Kristian a huge moment to, okay, he's not got 5 Elders, let me get rid of the piece that gives all the 7k power.
Yep.
Which is a massive disadvantage for Dan, because now you can't swing with your blockers as much because you're not going to refresh them.
Yep.
You can't swing with potentially Jupiter because you want to keep that 7k power buffer per turn on board. So it kind of takes away some of that momentum he has from going second.
Yeah, true. He does have another Jupiter in hand, but does he want to fire off leader ability and hope to top deck another 5 Elder? That's the question. He's going to use that Saturn now.
Very interesting there that he turned Mars sideways and counted out on top, keeping Mars on board. You don't see that often in the Emu matches, where normally they just happy to let their blockers die because they know they're coming back.
Yeah.
Very good decision there by Kristian.
Well, Kristian's definitely in an advantage here, but knowing that Kristian's got the 5 Elder in hand and managed to get Dan down to 2 life early on, definitely going to be in pole position if Dan can't find a way. He's targeting the Mars now.
But here's another. This is I was going to say, keeping it alive, much easier to counter out of the swing there and not into the life. Once again, Kristian staying healthy at 3 life, and as you said, him knowing he has a 5 Elders in hand, and he's probably expecting Dan9 to play another 5 Elders, but knowing that he has one to play out, very dominant position for himself at the minute.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what can he play now? Does need to really try and put something out. Maybe a blocker here. I think we're going to see a Nistro coming in. Okay. Takes that. Board on left open.
Not a terrible decision. With events in hand, as we know, or potential the bluff of events in hand, always a good idea.
Exactly. Swings 8 now into life. No Don open. And this is the disadvantage when you're playing the mirror match. Once you play the 5 Elders, you don't have any Don left open for counter events. So you are relying on cards in hand to counter with. Does get the 1 cost event now from the life. We are going to see Shirahoshi now being played. 2 cards being put back to the bottom of deck.
So Kristian will be having to trash one because he does have 6 in hand.
Does trash the event because he knows he's not going to be able to use it next turn because he is going to drop that 5 Elders. Rather have the counter cards in hand more than anything else. Knowing that Dan's not being able to play a 5 Elders this turn is also a big tell as well. So passes back over to Kristian now. So starts off by trying to clear board. So he's going to start off with Saturn swinging 7k into Jupiter, which is successful. You'll probably see Jupiter swinging in now as well, or leader, to try and at least take another couple of characters off board. First fires off the leader ability, trashing and drawing.
Very big here. Because now, as we said, if Dan doesn't find another Jupiter or a 5 Elders, those bodies on board are only 5Ks next turn with no Don investment instead of 7s.
Absolutely. Now, what's he gonna hack or do now? Does he drop the 5 Elders? You would think he is gonna drop the 5 Elders. Seven into Nostro here.
You surely do. You surely poke. Not seeing a 5 Elder, you do, because then you play the 5 Elders down, you Nosturo into the other one to give the minus 2k, and then you've got the leader and the Nosturo swing to really pressure removing the other one from your board.
Yeah, 3 Jupiters in hand there for Dan. So now you still got leader swing.
Coming close to the halfway mark on time, and we're still in round 1.
Yeah,
It's very tight, and another thought I've just had here, if Kristian does win going first, he will have to play the second game, presumably going first, because Dan9 would be the losing player, so would get to decide the dice roll. And obviously, he was the highest seeded player, so he got to choose how the first game went.
absolutely. So
Kristian constantly is back against the wall.
absolutely is, yeah. So he is now doing drop to the 5 Elders, doing his search, gets the Walkery to hand. And then let's see now. Does he want to use that Nostro now to get rid of the other one? 2 Don's still open. Could potentially swing 7 into 3 here. That's exactly what he's going to do. And the Nostro does go. And now we see the leader swing into the Shirahoshi, clearing that as well. Just leaving the Mars on the board now as Dan goes into his turn again. Still no 5 Elders in hand.
Very strong turn from Kristian.
Very strong turn indeed. So we see a 5k swing going into Nostro. Just needs a 1k counter here, which he'll happily give. Leader effect, draw. No, still no 5 Elder.
Was hoping for that moment of, where is it? And he scoops.
Yeah, scoops. Yeah, just cannot see that 5 Elder he needed. And he ends up having the game loss. Kristian wins game 1, having been forced to go first. And now we're going to go to game 2, where I'm assuming, again, Kristian's going to be in the same position, going first. But very much got the advantage, I would say, having gone and won that game 1.
Very much so, because at this point now, Kristian losing here would allow him into game 3 to choose and going second. And albeit, yes, we did just see the second player lose here, but I feel the real reason was no second 5 Elder.
Yeah.
Really, really. No, not even on that third attempt of no 5 Elder. Was really, really rough. And it just shows in this mirror. It's such an important card because that change in power shift between refilling board, just the balance of power changes from turn to turn. And if you don't see it to regain it, you just lose.
Yeah, absolutely. It just was definitely needed and unfortunately wasn't found. So we are now going to see Dan try yet again. See if he can take advantage or not. Look at the hand. Looks fairly decent. We are going to game 2 here of our top 4 matchup to decide who's going to make it into the final here in Edinburgh for our One Piece card game regional, hosted by Organised Play Events. We do also have a treasure cup going on as well at the event today, so a lot of players taking part in that who might not have made it through to top cut. So plenty of entertainment going on in that venue today for players who have made their trip up to Edinburgh. A second chance today to at least try and win something in the treasure cup as well, who might not have done as well as they'd liked yesterday. We fire off with Kristian going first again.
What will we see off the draw?
Let's take the Walkery. Needs to trash one from hand as well. Always difficult at this stage deciding what to trash from hand.
Very much so, because you don't know what you're going to see later on, as we've seen.
Yeah.
So considering about the Charlos here, which is a valid play, but going first on your 5 don turn, you could easily play out a or your 4 don turn, you could play out a Saturn and a Charlos, getting search and getting a blocker on board. Very strong play.
Yep. So again, Dan filling up his trash as well, just as well. Charlie used again. And off the leader ability as well. Passing back over to Kristian. Kristian starts off trashing that Charlia himself, using leader ability to draw a card. Plays the Walkery here. Gets the blocker on board for 3. And just passes the turn back over.
No Saturns.
Yeah, you want to see a Saturn at this particular stage, don't you? Just to be able to keep that search going.
It's very similar, though. Kristian was not seeing Saturns in the early game against Dan previously, and, you know, he was losing the cards in hand, but in the end, he still came through, so we could see that again.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see what Dan's got here now. Will he be able to play optimum play? Well, he starts off the Charlia. Just having a look at what pieces are in hand, what he wants to add to that hand. Let's decide to take the Walkery. Leader ability, draws a card. And he does play a Saturn as well, so fairly good there.
Very strong turn. Very, very on curve, per se.
Yeah, absolutely. Does manage to put another 4 cards in trash and do another search on top of that as well. So yeah.
It's a very much more methodical, slower paced game compared to some of the others we had today and of yesterday. The Emu Mirror, very, very technical, ensuring you're seeing the right cards, seeing them on curve for sure. But you know, it's not as raw aggression as, like, saying with Ace or Zoro, or when we saw Roger today. It's a very nice showing of different styles of decks we've had across the 2 days on stream so far.
Absolutely. So 1 5k swing came in, that was countered. Another 5k swing comes in, that's also countered. So 2 Walkeries from hand ending up in the trash there for Dan as counters. And now Kristian has 5 Don to play with. What do you want to drop here? Looks like it's going to be... Well, I thought he was going to play it there, but he decides. Yep.
Oh, we see the Nusjura coming out early.
Yeah, Nustura's out. Is he going to swing with it or just leave it there? Nope, just leave it there. Pass turn. And back over to Dan now. So, 7 Don turn here. Sorry, 6 Don turn for Dan. He is on the even curve.
What is the play here? Realistically, 2 Mercury, 2 Saturn searches, not terrible.
Yeah, if you can, that would be good. Well, we see 1 being fired off here. Going searching.
A lot of events in there.
Yep. I was gonna say you take the 1 cost event for sure. Add that to your hand, and then do you have another Saturn that you can play out?
Gonna leader ability.
Yep. Well, he's gonna go Walkery.
Still equally good. Getting 2 bodies on board, very strong. This allowing him to decide whether if he wants to play Jupiter next turn and have all those swings.
Absolutely. Go back over to Kristian's turn now. Having a quick look in the trash of Dan9. See what cards are there.
Do we see a Jupiter come down here to allow 2 7K body swings?
That would be good to keep that pressure on that life early on in this game. But it looks like we're going to see a 4 cost. Is it going to be a Saturn coming down here? Yes, we do. So top 5 search. Place 1 in your hand and place the rest at the bottom of your deck. Again, just thinking about which one to take here.
So many moving parts. The decisions are so important. Because
Absolutely.
I believe there was 5 elders that Dan9 saw in the earlier steps of his searches last game, but presumably comfortable of seeing another one of the 2, and it didn't cost him. So, the player's probably keeping that in mind as well, knowing that's such a huge factor in this game.
For sure. Well, we're seeing a 5k swing now coming into life. Dan's going to comfortably counter that with a Nustero. Walkery now attacking as well. A 2k counter with Shirahoshi being used. Nustero now swinging. Giving the Walkery -2. Smart move. Give the blocker -2. So even if it does... Well, you wouldn't really block 5k and then counter. But just does drop it down. And that is countered with a 2k. We are now going searching. Top 3 cards. And cost event goes to hand, and then it was trashed immediately as well for the leader effect. Turn passes over.
Very solid boards being built here, Taj.
Yeah, very solid indeed. So turn does pass back over to Dan. But again, as you say, Kristian's got 4 life still. Does have 4 characters on board, 2 that can be attacked into. You can drop a Jupiter here. You can start imposing some pressure. Maybe get rid of a couple of those characters on board and a couple of swings into life as well. That would be quite beneficial.
Dan9 facing the same problem though as last game. We are seeing no 5 elders in his hand there.
Yeah, that is a big problem.
Does have a Saturn searcher possibility though. Is this what we're going to do? Is this where we're going to see the 5 elders make his appearance?
Yeah, it looks like he is going to pay 3 Don to go searching, and he does see it, grabs it straight away. No hesitation there, as you would expect. So he has the Elder ready for his next turn. He does still have 5 Don available here as well. Can't play out Jupiter, but can play out Nuzjuro, dropping Kristian's Nuzjuro down to 3k and swinging 5 into it, allowing that to go. And now just trying to deal with that walkery. Swinging into it. That's gone. Draws a card off it. 5 into life.
But you're sitting on 4 life here. It's very, very easy to acceptably take a couple of hits here. If 1, 2, and still be sitting quite comfortably here.
Yeah, absolutely. So, is he going to take it or is he going to counter out of this one? Kristian does have an Elder of his own as well. It's 2 turns away from being able to play it. Another swing comes in, 2k counter with the Shirahoshi. Is Dan going to leave his walkery up or swing with that as well?
Looks like he's going to go for the swing.
Yep.
And
Keep
why
applying
wouldn't
that
you?
pressure. Yeah, 100%. Keep applying that pressure.
Because your opponent knows if you don't, like, he's going to you're going to get it swung at you again next turn. If not, it could be removed in other ways. So this constant abuse, almost of like just pressure here, is just very strong here from Dan9.
Absolutely. This game is definitely a lot better than the last one for him here. We've got just over 18.5 minutes left on the clock. It looks like Dan is in a pretty strong position going into this next turn. Kristian can't play out just yet the 5 Elders. He can play it, but he won't be able to activate it. So he's decided to go searching instead with a Saturn. Again, looking at pieces in hand, what's going to be the most optimum card to take here? With just 3 cards in hand, one of them being a 5 Elder.
It's very hard here to choose. Just trying to think what is the best piece in the best moment when you're staring down at a board like that becomes very, very rough. Looking for his trash, trying to see what he's got in there, help him make the right choice.
Yeah, I'm thinking, at this point, do you take the Nustero because you can play it and apply a bit more pressure?
It's a very good choice here.
Yeah, but deciding to take the Equilibrium.
Counter event is always a strong choice here, especially a 9 Don. Could easily leave Don open to help him protect board or protect life if need be.
Yep. Starts off with the 5k swing into 5, Saturn into Saturn. Does have 6 Don left open. This sure can be played for 5.
This is the big difference here. At 9 Don last game, Kristian had Jupiter down. Those bodies were 7s. Was very, very strong.
Yeah, absolutely. Dan's just having a look and thinking, is this the right thing to do? Shall I let this go? Yeah, hits his trash, so it's left the board. A leader can still swing. That walkery can still swing as well. We can bring out a rush Mr. as well. Leader effect now fired off. 5k into the other Saturn. And just looking through his own trash, just deciding, do I let this one go? Does give a 2k counter in the form of Jupiter there. Now we do see the Nistero come down, targeted there.
Exactly as you had foreshadowed there, Taj.
Yep. Just was a smart play, wasn't it? Just trying to control your opponent's board a little better. The 5 Elders are going to come down, but you don't want to be taking too many swings before they do. So try and control that board state. Again, swinging into the Saturn, this time with the Walkery. That one is taken and passes turn here. So, does take a lot of those characters away from the board. And we now go back to Dan. Dan's now in a pretty decent position here. Starts off 5k swing into Nustero. That's counted out. Another 5k swing coming in. Forcing another card out of hand. It will be the Jupiter 2k counter. And now we will see the Walkery.
Down to 2 cards in hand.
Yeah. Does need to swing with this before the 5 Elders hit. So he does. Hits the Nustero, and that does successfully work. Leader effect activated. Draws a card off the leader. And now we are going to see the 5 Elders coming back into play. Off that 10 Don.
On play search from Mr. Saturn. He's seen another 5 Elders, and I think Dan is not leaving it to chance this time round on whether he sees another 5 Elders when he needs it, because that was the difference between the game in the first match of this round.
Yeah, absolutely. Ensuring that he's going to be able to play it again next turn. So Nustero now swings 7k into life here, and Kristian is going to have to take this. I don't think he's got the ability to counter here. Just, well, he has got the one Don open and he has got the event open as well. So he could if he wants to. Looks like he might actually consider that. But nope. Takes the life and it activates the trigger. So he can look at the top 3. It looks like he's going to take Jupiter here potentially. Jupiter would be the smart play. It gives him a 2k counter because he is going to fire off his own 5 Elders next turn. Won't have any Don left open to be able to play an event. So having a 2k counter is probably the smart decision here. And now does go to his 10 Don turn. Starts off with a 5k swing into Nustero. Trying to force a card out of Dan's hand or block.
It's so very interesting in the mirror to just see emus with such small hands, because unlike in other matchups where they're able to rely on events, they don't really come into play here very often, or it's in the earlier rounds when they do, but you're just not getting to get those hand sizes that you're so accustomed to see with emus.
Yeah, well, without the empty throne, you know, you don't have the luxury of having that additional Don most turns, so you are now being forced to play a bit more efficiently with the Don that you have, as any normal deck would. We are seeing Dan now trying to, well, he blocks that swing, draws a card, and then we are going to counter out of that 5k swing coming in from leader. And now we are going to see Kristian's 5 Elder drop down. So Dan doesn't have any characters rested at the moment. They've all been dealt with. So what we're going to see taken here.
The very painful hand right there.
Yep.
But he still has access to leader ability.
So swings with Nustero. His only rush option here does get blocked. So starting off, swinging 7 into Nustero. 5 into life. 2k counter. 7 into life. That one is blocked. Draw a card. The on KO effect. We are now going to use leader ability. Crash 1, draw 1, and then now we are going to see our 5 elders return.
And they're all together again, Taj. Happy
Yep,
little
they
elder
just keep
reunion.
regenerating, don't they, these 5 elders? What is it with them?
Now the question is, will this be enough? Because it doesn't look like. No, he does. No, he lets the 5 elder go to the bottom of the deck. So does he have another one in hand? Because is this enough for Dan to secure the win? We have less than 10 minutes on the clock here. This could be very tight going into potentially a third round.
Yeah, absolutely. Will be extremely tight. We do see that swing now for Kristian going into the Nustero from the leader. $2K counter. See a 7K swing coming into it now. That will go. Leader effect. Jupiter, 7K swing into life. Nine minutes left on the clock. That's blocked, draw a card. The KO ability. And here we go again.
Elders.
Yet again. All 5 of them come out one more time.
The question is, will Kristian be able to weather a third rotation of 5 elders?
Yeah, that's going to be the ultimate test, isn't it now?
Him finding his own, just in case he does. If he does, getting that 5 elders down is going to be very important. We also know
Absolutely.
at this point, Dan does not have the ability to play a fourth one if it goes that far, because we've seen him put it at the bottom of the deck. But with very little cards left in deck, and you cycle them out, the chance is there to maybe draw back into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Did decide to block there. And we go back over to Dan now. He's going to start with a 7K swing into Nustero. That's taken. 5K swing into life. Going to see a counter here. Kristian just checking deck. Both players are probably going to be fairly low in deck size now as well.
Very much so. Neither of them had the opportunity to be able to set up Shirahoshi early to ensure any cards back into deck. So it could be very close at this point.
Yep. So here we go, yet again. Another 5 elder being played. I think we all know the routine now, don't we?
Trash a card from hand, get the player all back, get into the sequence, get the search off. No KOing because they've both got enough cards in trash, and then rush.
Yep. So pass back over to Kristian now. So Dan still has a pretty decent board here and 3 life. Kristian now can fire off another one of those 5 elders after utilizing these 2 attacks. So we start off with a 5K swing into Nustero with a leader. He's just checking Kristian's trash before dealing with that attack. It's 5 into 5. Yep, 1K counter. 7 into 5. Let's that one go. Leader effect. 7 into life. This one's taken.
There's a very important swing because obviously something I was going to say is Kristian has had to be on the back foot now and constantly trying to clear board. And if time runs out and then it comes down to life, he's not been able to focus on it. So that swing there, making sure they're both on the 2, very important here.
Absolutely. Kristian does have the advantage of being 1 game up here as well. So very much in the driving seat here. So I just take the Jupiter off the search there. So another 2k counter in hand. Does now swing 7k into life. No Don open. So either counter with cards in hand or you take the life here, Dan.
Does have War Quarry on board, which he could block and get that draw 1.
Yep. Does decide to instigate that. Gets to draw. Passes back over now. No 5 Elder in hand by the looks of it from what I can tell.
No, because it was bottomed on the search, and I think he still has too many cards to locate it at that point still in his deck.
Yep. So he starts off with a 7k swing into the Nusturo here. That's allowed to go. What do you do now?
However, this does allow a turn where Dan9 could play out, say, a Nusturo if he has one in hand, and Don open 4 events, which could be a very important decision here if Kristian goes into playing another 5 Elders after this, because if it buys Dan the time to find his own 5 Elders, could be game deciding.
Yep. So this is a tell now. He does find the 5 Elders. Second card down in that search. Yeah, from the deck, sorry. So he can't play it this turn now. Well, he can play it, but he just can't activate it. But you don't want to leave yourself too susceptible either. So what do you do here now? You have the Peters in hand. Shirahoshi might be useful. No trashing. Sorry, that's trashing the Shirahoshi from the Shalia, should I say. Shalia being trashed to activate leader. To draw. 9 Don open.
Could we see... I couldn't see many events in hand, Taj.
No, there wasn't
So
any events unless he's just drawn into one.
So we could see potentially a blocker coming down, because otherwise we see Kristian with a very strong position here. Very little time on the clock, but very strong position to just force through a very strong turn of attacks at life with blockers being turned sideways and then playing 5 Elders to re-establish a board state.
Absolutely. So Kristian does block that attack. We do see a couple of blockers now being played as Dan passes the turn over. No more 4-5 Elders on this side of the board either for Kristian as he starts his turn. 1 minute 30 left on the clock. Dan needs to finish this game in less than that time. If he doesn't, Kristian goes through. We are seeing Saturn now swinging 7k. We use the event here. Counter out of that first attack. Leader effect fired off. Still no 5 Elder. What do you do here? 7k swing going into the Jupiter.
Presume we take a block with a Charlos potentially.
Yep. Well, he counters out of that one.
In preemptive strike in case 5 Elders drop. Very strong decision here.
Yep.
Meaning that he could...
Leader still can swing. We're down to 30 seconds on the clock now. leader swing, counters out of that one. Plays a Walkery. Plays another Walkery. 6 Don committed to that. 4 Don left. 10 seconds left on the clock.
A perfect time to pass turn, giving Dan the first turn in overtime.
Well, it's going to be game over. Kristian's one game up.
Very true, yes.
So that is it. It is game. Unfortunately, there was no way for Dan to finish that game within the time to try and win it. Kristian does win, having been 1 game up. So Kristian goes through to our final, and this is really it. With this Emu deck, it is a bit of a slog, isn't it? And the advantage definitely does go to the player who wins that first game, because it's going to be very tight to finish the second game, let alone get to a third game. And just as we saw there, both players were making decisions in a timely manner, taking their time to make decisions, but they were by no means slow playing. They were playing at a pace which was fair and consistent. So it's just the problem with this deck, isn't it? It's just such a long slog with this particular matchup.
All the searching, all the replaying bodies out, all the like micro decisions and actions.